Okay, hi. So today it's the turn of the Duotone Echo 7 metre and the Duotone Slick 7 metre. I'm just going to do a quick comparison. Okay, so with this angle, I hope that you can see the differences a little bit better. The Slick behind is definitely taller, and because of the straighter leading edge, it's sticking out where it sticks out, and the wingtips end around about here. It's not actually got that much of a reduced wingspan compared to the Echo, but somehow those straight edges, if you like, the wingtips, seem to make it a lot easier to prevent and recover from touching the wingtip on the water. Not that it happens a lot with the duotones anyway, because they're so well balanced and they fly so nicely at the right angle that compared to other wings that I've used in the past, they don't seem to lend themselves to that being a problem anyway. Other differences in the shape: the Duotone Echo has got a much more pronounced dihedral shape to the leading edge. So that's obviously less of a dihedral on the Slick. The chord, if you like, or the distance from the leading edge to the trailing edge, is just slightly longer on the Slick. Now, the main difference obviously is that the Echo has got the full boom and the Slick has got the mini boom, combined with the quite strangely shaped inflatable centre strut. Now they've both got their pros and their cons, if you ask me. It's not just a case of the Slick being the clear winner in all respects. So let's delve a little bit deeper into how I found their performance different. Okay, so I'm not sure how well this is going to come out, but I'll give it a go. So I'm going to try and review the new Duotone Slick while on the fly, literally. I've got the 7 metre on the go, and the rest of my kit is the Axis 1300, the biggest of the pump and glide range, Jimmy Lewis custom board, 110 litres. I weigh 82, 83 kilograms, that sort of thing. And the wind speed at the moment is sort of in between 6 and 9 knots. So I am used to the Duotone Echoes. I've got the 7 metre, the 5 and the 4, and I love them, I really do. I got them pretty much as soon as they came out. Before then I tried a range of different wings, and as soon as I tried the Duotone Echo, I realised that the boom had so many advantages for me personally, my style of riding. I just went with the quiver of Echoes, and I've read a lot about the Slicks, and as ever, obviously there's a lot of good press about these new releases. What the team riders can do with them is one thing, but how they like for the rest of us. Well, I've been using the 7 and the 6 for a while now. My 5 and 4, I've sort of gone a bit extravagant because, you know, I just want to be prepared for all conditions. And where I live, it's impossible to get spares, and you know, we don't have surf shops out here in Oman, so everything takes months to get delivered or for repairs or anything like that. So to future-proof myself, I went for 1 metre increments. But the first thing I'd like to say about the Duotone Slick is you don't need 1 metre increments. 1.5 is ample, and if you're on a budget, 2 metre, you know, from say the 7 down to the 5 and the 5 down to the 3, I think is entirely doable. Yeah, there'll be a little bit of a sort of like a window in the middle where, you know, one's not quite enough and the other's just a bit too much, but really the most impressive thing to me about the Slick is the range. how impressive the range is. And I'm coming from Echoes which had a good range, and I'm not saying other wings don't, but yeah, the range on these things is incredible. Now, the stability is also one of their main points from my point of view. I think it's definitely got a much more rigid canopy, and as such it gives it a number of different positive characteristics over the Echo. First of all, in its low end, this is much more grunty than the Slick. Sorry, the Slick has more grunt than the Echo. Hang on, I'm just going to turn around. Oof. Like when jibes. Gotta love that added extra feature of difficulty holding onto the GoPro stick at the same time. So let's just get my switch stance sorted before I move the pole, and we're off. A little bit wobbly, not used to multitasking. Whoopsie, wingtip touch. I'll get onto that in a minute. So, back on the move again. Yeah, the low end power, the grunt, is definitely improved in the Slick over the Echo. Top end, it is so stable that it may not be any more powerful than the Echo in its top end, but it's so much more user friendly. Like, I was using this 7 and it was gusting 18 knots, and okay, it was uncomfortable by that time. 14 to 16 knots feels like a handful, but easily controllable because it's so stable. But when it was gusting 16 to 18, I was like, yeah, I really want to go in now and change down to the 6. And the 6, wow, it was for me. I love going out powered up. I'm not one to, you know, to go for the smallest, lightest wing. I'll probably go for using, if given a choice, I'll always go for being in the top range of a wing's power. I like to have a big wing and a small foil. That's what I prefer, and everyone else each to their own. Sorry, a little bit of movement. That's better. Whoa, hang on. Let's get that nestled in. There we go. That's better. Right. So, top end, yeah. Like I said, I'm so impressed with the stability, and as such, you can hold a shed load of power with these wings. Now, the canopy itself doesn't flap like the Echo does at the trailing edge. I can always tell with my Echoes when I'm reaching the upper end of its power limits, because the trailing edge starts flapping away, and that's a surefire sign to change. But the Slicks, I'd say the canopy is so nice and taut, it doesn't do that. It's awesome. The boom, yeah, the boom is the obvious change from the Echo to the Slick. And being a micro boom, I've never had cause for complaint. There is not any point where I have said, oh, I wish the boom was a little bit longer either way. The boom is fine, and it's so small and lightweight that, you know, I thought about getting the carbon option, but you save 250 grams, you know, without being too gross. If you go to the toilet before you go for your winging session, you'll be as likely to save that amount of weight or more. So really, as somebody like me, am I going to notice 250 grams? I doubt it very much. The aluminium boom is oval as well, so I think that's just a little bit more comfortable in your hands for lighter sessions, and I think it's arguably less likely to break. So if you've got the money, then obviously the carbon, anything carbon is nice, makes you feel good. What else to say about it? It feels a little bit heavier than the Echo, probably because it's got more grunt. It sort of takes a bit more arm energy anyway, a little bit more strength. So like I say, the Echo feels a little bit lighter in the hands. And when you're doing transitions, the Echo definitely sort of, it helps you to flip over from one side to the other, whether it's jibes or tacks. Whereas the Echo, you have to push a little bit. Sorry, the Echo, the Slick. The Slick, you have to guide over there. Not as much as some of the other wings I've used in my time, but it's just noticeable compared to the Echo. Don't get me wrong, I mean, when you're powered, I'm mostly talking about light wind here. In light wind, it's noticeable. When you're powered up, oops, pardon me, when you're powered up, no matter what the size, it doesn't feel like that at all. It's only in super, super light wind that I've noticed that. What else to say? What else to do? I think the Duotone unit is possibly slightly more stable when luffing it, riding waves. I've used the 5 and the 4, oh, and the 6 I used a couple of times as well for the Duotone unit. But it's more stable when luffing than the Echo, but not quite as stable as the unit. But you know, the Slick, it's got this boom, which, let's face it, really makes transition so much easier. And for me, downwinding as well, when you're you know, cruising from bump to bump, if you're doing some lovely carves from left to right, the boom, you don't have to hold the leading edge handle. You have the choice of holding the boom right up next to the leading edge, or you can hold the boom in the middle and just, you know, twist it around, keep it slightly in the power zone as you're moving from bump to bump, or anytime if you're just doing, you know, lots of jibes or jibe to tack transitions or anything like that. You know, the option of holding it anywhere without thinking on that boom, it's just so nice. And I have tried lots of it, well, 3 other brands of wings with handles, and no matter how well balanced the wing is in terms of use, you just can't get that same level of stability holding on with one hand to a handle compared to a boom. And okay, it might only be in terms of when you want to keep a little bit of power in the wing as you're doing all those, but for downwinding, I think that's just such an advantage, especially in light winds. Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna do a few things and see what you can see. So at the moment I'm holding on to the leading edge. No, I'm not. I'm holding on to the handle. At the moment I'm holding on to the front of the boom next to the leading edge. Let's get going. And if I flip it up a little bit, there you go. You see, I can just get a little bit of extra power to pull me through to the next bump without pumping so much. Really, this is power on tap. Like when downwinding, it just makes it so much easier. So a big advantage. Whew. Sweet. Okay, so pumping the Slick to get you up on foil, I find a tale of 2 situations. First of all, when you're powered up, no problem whatsoever. You don't have to do anything, it literally just lifts you onto the foil, absolutely no effort. It's so slick, and I'm guessing that's why they called it the Slick. But when you're underpowered, it's quite a different story, because I find the Slick quite technical to pump. You can't just pump it back and forwards because it's so taut in the canopy that it tends to backwind a lot. So you have to really move forwards and up and then around and back in, forwards and up, around and back in. A real exaggerated pumping motion to get you up onto the foil. Obviously pumping the board helps as well, but yeah, like I say, I found the Echo easier to pump, as in it backwinds less, your technique doesn't have to be quite so good, and I only realised this when I started using the slicks in light wind. I never realised that my pumping technique could be improved, but you know, if I ever get back to use the Echoes again, I'll try this new technique and see if it helps. But here's the catch-22. I don't know whether, because the Echo is easier to pump, I can get up on the foil in the same minimum wind speed as I can with the Slick not being able to pump it quite as vigorously. Now it's probably my technique, or lack of, when I was using the Echo, and me pumping like an idiot, not trying to be efficient with, not being efficient with my technique. Now I've got the Slick, it's forced me to examine my technique, and as such I feel like it's improved. Be very interested to go back to the Echo and see whether that's done any good. But for the Slick, it does work wonders. Just that really exaggerated movement, forward slightly up and then pulling it a long pull back in towards your body, getting it nice and close, arms to the chest, elbows bent, and then forward, up and away, and then pulling it back in. Okay, so that's to start off in light wind. When you're flying, just bringing it close to you will generate more power than a couple of pumps with the Echo. So yeah, it really is awesome to pump, but just be wary of what I've been mentioning, pumping in order to start off in light winds. All right, let's see what I can do here without messing up the GoPro stick. Very, very light wind. Pump, pump, and switch, and we're off again. Oof. Yeah, you can feel the power just from a few small gentle pumps on the Slick. Definitely more powerful in that respect than the Echo. Okay, different day, but there's a couple of things I forgot on my original review of the Duotone Slick 7 meter, and to be honest, what I'm saying now applies to the whole range, because they really do have very, very similar characteristics through the entire size range. So the first thing I wanted to say of the additions is that the 7 meter is a little bit on the heavy side compared to the Echo, and you only notice this in severely light winds when you're either downwinding or jibing, that sort of thing, when the trailing edge can sort of fall down a little bit easier than the Echo. Presumably that's because it's got the inflatable centre strut as well as the mini boom on the Slick. However, that mini boom is absolutely worth its weight in gold, or I should say the inflatable strut, because when you're on a sinker board, as I found out today, here I'm using my 5.3 Sonova foil board, it's 43 litres, so it's quite a fair bit underneath me when I'm starting. The centre strut prevents the trailing edge from sinking, which on the Echo the trailing edge sinks and it's a real pain, but only a problem, that's only a problem for sinker boards, it's really not a problem for a floating board. Okay, and the second And the second thing I wanted to add was about the wingtips catching. The shape of them and the fact that they're slightly further forward. The far bottom corner of the wingtips are further forward than the Echo because the leading edge is straighter. That brings them further forward. So as such, hopefully you can see, as such, if I bring the wingtip down to the water, it just skims across the water, and it's very easy to correct. With the Echo, it wasn't too bad, but other wings, as soon as you catch a wingtip, it tips forward because it usually catches on the curved corner, which means that the whole wing tips forward and it's very difficult to recover from. But this one I'll do it again. It's hard to get down there. Hang on. Sorry. Okay, so the wingtip catching on the water, it just skims across the top for the most part, and it's really easy to recover. Let's try and scooch around and get on the other side.